Today I'm gonna share 5 practical tips that will help you work faster and smarter in the part environment. These are things I personally use every day when modeling parts, so let's jump on in. One of the biggest productivity killers I see in SolidWorks is an overcomplicated feature tree. A long feature tree makes your model harder to modify, and here's why. First, the longer the tree, the more likely you are to run into rebuild errors, and fixing those errors can be frustrating and time-consuming. Second, you spend way more time finding the right features. Just imagine in a long feature tree, you're looking for a small feature to change it a little bit. You need to navigate through the tree, and as the tree becomes longer, you spend more time on it. The solution is simple: model smarter, not more. Try to let one strong sketch drive multiple features, and always choose features that match the geometry. For example, in cylindrical parts, revolve features are usually cleaner and more stable than multiple extrudes. So here I have a part named bearing cover, and on the right side there is a long messy feature tree with so many features. I did a little bit of optimization and it became the one on the left side. First of all, I combined multiple features into one. For example, a hole was created using the hole wizard, and then they created a set of holes for one side of the part using the circular pattern, and then the designer used mirror to create another set for the other side of the part. Instead, I used just one circular pattern with 2 directions to create a set of holes for both sides simultaneously. This happened 3 times for different holes, so I fixed those 2, resulting in 3 features reduction in my design tree. Another thing that I noticed in the original model was that the designer used one extruded cut to create a hole and then used hole wizard to add thread on it. Well, as you already know, you can do this in one go using just one hole wizard appropriately. Then I realized in the original model, the related features are far away from each other. Well, this happens a lot that you want to modify a feature, but you need to edit the related features as well. In this one, you need to scroll up and scroll down until you find the related features. Instead, you can create related features one after another and put them in the design tree next to each other. This way, you don't need to search for them in the design tree in case you want to edit them because they are just below the first one. Then I reduced the number of extruded cut and extruded bus as much as I can using slightly more complex sketches. Now take these holes as an example. In the original model, the designer used just one extruded cut to create these holes. Instead, I can add one circle to this feature sketch, so when I extrude the feature, the hole will be created by itself. Then you can see fillets and chamfers in different places in the design tree. I myself find them kinda annoying, something like they are in my way. Not to mention that they are making the design tree messy and crowded, and if you want to change, for example, the radius, first you need to find them in the original design tree. What I prefer is to keep fillets and chamfers near the end of the design tree. They are not in my way anymore, and if I want to change anything about them, I don't need to search for them. And don't forget to rename important features. For example, this one is key slot, or for example, I have oil entrance, which is this one. It makes future edits much faster because I just need to find the name in the design tree. A lean feature tree means fewer errors, faster edits, and a model that actually works with you, not against you. Once your feature tree is solid, the next biggest time saver is how you sketch. Tip number 2, sketch smarter with relations. A lot of designers try to fully define sketches using smart dimensions as their first choice. The problem is this makes the sketches harder to read, harder to modify, and easier to break. When they want to modify something, they end up changing multiple dimensions, even ones that should always stay equal. Now take this sketch as an example. I mostly use a smart dimension to fully define the sketch. Now let's say I want to edit these 50mm dimensions. I need to change this one, for example, to 80, and then I need to edit this one. And of course, I need to edit this one as well. Obviously, this takes a lot of time and this approach is not very professional. You might run into errors, and with this messy sketch, it is more likely you make a mistake. Instead, let sketch relations do most of the work. Relations like equal, symmetric, concentric, collinear, coradial keep your design intent intact. This way, you only modify the dimension that drives the sketch, and the relations take care of the rest. Now this time I define the sketch using the relations as my first choice. If I want to do the same modification, I only need to edit the feature with dimension, and the relations will take care of the rest. Just be aware of the dimensions, that they are equal, not that they have similar dimensions. For example, I know that this one is equal to this one, but maybe it is not equal to this one necessarily. So you might want to change these 2 ones, but not this one. In that case, you need to break the relation and use a smart dimension to bring its value back. If possible, don't forget to keep your sketch and the model symmetric around the center of the environment. That makes everything easier for you, for example, create sections or apply mates in the assembly step. Now we end up with cleaner sketches, fewer dimensions, and a much more predictable behavior. And if the sketch behaves strangely or for example run into errors, always check the relation first, not the dimensions. Now that your sketch is solid, the next place people lose a lot of time is repeating the same feature over and over again. Tip 3. Pattern instead of repeating. A common mistake is creating identical features manually. The problem is when something changes, you have to fix every single one as well. Instead, use patterns both in a sketch and the part environment. Linear pattern, circular pattern, or sketch-driven patterns can save you a huge amount of time. To see how powerful the patterns really are, let's say I want to create this feature multiple times on these spots using the sketch-driven pattern. So click on it. In the selections, I need to select the sketch that defines the location, and in the feature, I need to select the feature that I want to pattern, and then confirm it. With pattern, one change updates all instances automatically, so you only need to edit the original one, and the others will be updated automatically. That results in cleaner models and significantly reduces the chance of errors. So if you ever find yourself repeating the same feature, stop. There is almost always a pattern for that. Tip number 4 is all about how fast you can access tools. Mouse gestures. Many users rely heavily on toolbars and menus, and those extra clicks add up fast. Mouse gestures let you access your most used tools right at the cursor. With one right click and a short mouse movement, you can start sketches, create features, and add dimensions instantly. Once you start using mouse gestures consistently, you'll notice how much faster everything feels and keeps you focused on the model. The real power of mouse gestures comes from customization. Only keep the tools you actually use and remove everything else. To customize it, right-click on the toolbar and select Customize, then switch to Mouse Gestures. Here you can change the number of gestures. I personally find 8 to be a good balance. You can also define different set of gestures for different environments, part, sketch, assembly, and drawing. And to add a command, just search for it, for example extrude, and drag it into the gesture slot you want. Once mouse gestures becomes muscle memory, SolidWorks starts to feel way faster. The last tip isn't about modeling techniques, it's about making SolidWorks itself work faster for you. By adjusting a few options and addings, you can noticeably improve the rebuild time, graphics performance, and overall responsiveness. Let me show you a few settings I always adjust on a fresh SolidWorks installation. Before everything, go to add-ins and disable the modules you don't use. Every enable add-in loads when SolidWorks starts, and unnecessary add-ins don't just slow startup, they also affect the overall performance and the responsiveness. For example, the last time SolidWorks Visualize loaded, it took almost 6 seconds. I personally don't use a Scan to 3D, 3D Experience, or SolidWorks Visualize and Geomagic for SolidWorks, so I disable them and confirm it. Next, go to Options, and under General, disable Show Thumbnail Graphics in the Windows Explorer, and then make sure that Enable Freeze Bar is activated. This lets you lock completed features and prevents unnecessary rebuilds. Next, go to Display, and for the assembly transparency, change it to Maintain Assembly Transparency. Set anti-aliasing to none. It looks slightly less smooth, but the performance improves. Now let's go to Performance and disable all transparency options. And in the curvature generation, bring the slider to slower or off. This reduces GPU load. Finally, under External References, make sure Load Reference Documents is set to Prompt. This prevents SolidWorks from loading unnecessary files without asking. With these settings, SolidWorks becomes noticeably faster and more responsive. And if something doesn't behave the way you expect, you can always come back here and undo that settings, or you can reset all the settings from here. These 5 tips won't just make you faster, they'll make your model cleaner and more reliable. If you found this useful, hit like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments which tip you're going to use today. Thanks for watching, keep practicing. From one engineer to another, see you in the next one.